Three main clashes in this debate. The most important clash, obviously, like Ori said, is what will bring about the revolution. Later we'll talk about the two other clashes in this debate, the economic system and the media. Before that, a quick rebuttal, three points. First of all, regarding democratic revolutions, we think they are often irrelevant. We have seen many democracies where inequality grows compared to the previous regime. We think that what Marx wanted was, and this is stated in the info slide obviously, was to change the power structure, to change who owns capital, and not to, and the democracy is good obviously, but that's not our goal, and if in some cases this actually means the opposite, we don't think we care. Notice we haven't seen any communist revolution since the internet was invented. We have seen them before the internet, Cuba, Russia, Vietnam, etc., and we think that this is not a coincidence, because the internet gives you the power to supposedly talk freely about Marx while actually living in a pretty convenient system which you do not change. So that's why we think this is not relevant. We heard two things from Ori and Monica. The first thing was that the internet helps you organize. The second thing was that the internet helps you understand that you need a revolution. Let's begin with the first. We agree it helps you organize, but we think that it helps you organize and bring about minor fixes to the system instead of replacing the system itself. I will go into this more deeply in my summary. Second thing, there was no explanation of why internet will allow you to understand that the revolution is needed. The only explanation we heard was that people will now read Marx more. I think they could do that in the local library earlier. And what we have heard from Alon is that actually empirically the opposite often happens. When the world gets closer, it's not that we get this mix of everything and people realize stuff, is that the hegemonic power systems move to gain control in the rest of the world. We see the American capitalist system gaining more control in the world and not the other way around. So we do not see, and this was explained by Yarom, with nice examples of Cuba, America, Israel, no answer whatsoever. Let's begin with the three main clashes. No, thank you. First of all, the revolution. So again, as I said, if we had an option, if the world was separated, no globalization, and we had some countries an option for a revolution, and some countries not, we think that would have been good. We would have got at least a few revolutions, and some people would have been freed of this power structure, and that is great. But once you have one globalized world, which becomes more American, we see no revolution whatsoever. But moreover, why no, thank you. Why doesn't protest bring forward the revolution? I think this is the most important point in this debate. So first of all, we got from first up that people just do less. They supposedly do more, but they just press like on Facebook, they tweet something and they feel really good about themselves. We completely agree. But what we're saying is more than that. Even if they succeed, even if there is protest, even if they go forward and have success, this actually fixes the system and enables it to survive. This makes the capitalist system more durable. Why is that? Because once I see that the cost of living is a bit lower, then I can survive. Then I don't need the revolution. The revolution only happens when things get really tough, like Cuba and USSR, etc. That's the only way to bring about a revolution. Then another Yarom gave you, and again no reply, was the welfare system. Because any neo-Marxist theory will explain to you that the welfare system was exactly the way that the capitalist system was able to survive. By giving people some health, some education, making them feel like they have a chance, and they have this social safety net. So yeah, they don't drop dead in the middle of the street, but they still have no chances versus capital. That's what makes the capitalist system survive, because now they support the system instead of going against it. We don't want to fix the system. We think that fixing the system will prevent the revolution. We don't want someone going into Facebook and going against his local bank and saying, oh, there's no terrible employers, and then there will be people going to the streets and, oh, now we'll pay them $2 more an hour and everything is great. That's exactly what we don't want. We want capitalism to go to be as worse as possible, to be as exploitative as possible, and then we'll get the revolution. When there is no way to make these small fixes, these adjustments which prevent the revolution from us. And that's why we win the debate today. Don't you agree, Yair?
Okay, so a world without internet, where the working class has almost zero accessibility to production of culture and reallocation of funds, which can enable a revolution. So how would Marx approve a world without it? He would approve.
Thank you, Yair. A world without internet is a world where people will feel really oppressed, like they felt in Egypt, for example. And in such a world, when people feel really oppressed, and they can't just increase the college prices. When people feel really oppressed, then they go against the system itself. They don't try to fix the system. They don't try to make fairer banks. Or then they go against private property, for example, which is something that today no one is against, by the way. Only in such a world, when we go to the extreme, we have a chance. No, thank you, Monica. Maybe later. Okay, now let's go over the second clash, media. So what we heard from the first proposition is that now we have this alternative media, and therefore we can bring about the change. Now, I want to talk about the best example and see how even this example goes to our side. The best example is obviously Occupy Wall Street. We were able to make these huge demonstrations against the Wall Street, against systems throughout the world. Wow, great, and internet probably helped this somewhat, we have to agree. Yet notice that this completely failed. None of these people were elected. There was no major change in the system. By the way, this probably occurred irrelevant to the internet because of an economic crisis. But let's forget that for a second. There was no real achievements, definitely not structure-changing achievements from this system. Let's try to understand why. The reason is pretty simple. Because most people did not support this movement to its extreme. They supported that something small is needed, but not that the revolution is needed. And how do we know that? Because obviously the movement's representatives, none of them were elected, and people did, and there was no bringing down of the system. But notice one more thing. Most young people in the States today actually don't read the newspaper, don't watch, do watch some TV, but get most of the information through the internet, and yet still didn't go forward and bring forward the Occupy revolution. And why is that? Because through the internet, they still read mostly the same sites, whether it's CNN or New York Times or any other news site. And those sites still are close to capital just like they were before. And this is why people still have the same opinions that they had beforehand. That's why people still believe in private property. That's why people did not bring forward the revolution. So now maybe they feel that they have an impact. Now maybe they feel that they're being exposed to more worldviews, which is actually bad, because this is the false conscious, having them feel that they're being exposed to everything, while in essence, 95% of them are still going to the same news sites and having the same opinions, and as we saw in reality. Third and final clash, economic system. So Yair talks about donations. What we say about that is that this is terrible. We think people have the right for the money, they don't have to get it as a present. And Yair talks about, so we don't think donations are good. Moral over donations. Donations still give more power to whoever has more money. I have more money, I can donate more and then have more political power. We think political power should not be related to money whatsoever. What it only brings you is the American dream. The fact that people think that they can be the best of, the most successful because of them, and to be this star wonder, makes them believe in the system, makes them believe in the capitalist system, which is what we don't want today.